It's Bigfoot Collectors Club with Bryce and Michael. I know a ghost story or two. Let's do this.
Oh!
Blast off, dude. Blast
Hey, here
off.
we are. I was like looking at my...
Shabam!
I'm
Coming in
prepping for
hot.
something coming up pretty soon. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Bigfoot Collectors Club. I'm your the podcast where we talk to special guests about their personal paranormal history and tell stories of high strangeness. I'm your guest, and I'm a guest in your ears this week. I'm the host of the show, Michael McMillan. With me is your other host,
Bryce Johnson.
and your producer,
Riley Bray.
And today we have a very, very, very special guest. I recently met this young woman while working on an episode of NCIS LA where she plays Sergeant Hidoko.
Cool.
Special agent.
Special agent. Oh,
Get it right,
Damn
dude.
it.
It's a big difference.
You're a sergeant. You're high in the ranks in my heart.
She was a sergeant in the Marines.
Oh, okay. See, so I'm not that.
Okay.
I'm
that
not
works.
that.
You're not that far. No, you're great.
Ladies-
Just for posterity's sake.
Okay, got it. Special agent. Hidoko.
Get it
Sounds
right.
cooler.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Andrea Bordeaux.
Yay!
Thank you guys so much for having me.
Hey,
I'm so excited.
what's going on? We kind of had a
Excited
little
to have
bumpy
you here.
lift off here. We're getting some kinks worked out in the studio.
What kinks?
Apparently some ghosts have been haunting this studio and playing with the electronics, as we learned last night when we had a reading with a gallery reading with a medium,
Right.
which is an episode that'll be up, if not already now, shortly on the Patreon feed.
Yeah, there's ghosts that like electronics, and then there's ghosts that send signals through nature, which I thought was pretty interesting.
Yeah, and then we seem to get the technical glitch ghost.
Can we switch him out?
The spirit that stepped forth for me, she said, he likes to, when your like phone and stuff is going wrong, that's him. Is that okay if he does that? And then part of me was like, no, I'm trying to get shit done.
Right.
But I don't want to discourage my dead loved ones from
Right.
What's the
saying
purpose,
hello.
though? Like, why would you be okay with that? What is he accomplishing by messing with your phone?
Yeah, exactly. I guess, though, it's just
I mean,
a
that's a
message
question
like,
I would want to have the answer to.
It's like the
before
ghost
deciding.
equivalent of texting, I think.
yeah, maybe it's just being like,
Ghosting.
hi, I'm here. I'd rather have like a little light flutter. Or
Oh, so
maybe,
he wants acknowledgement.
Yeah, just like, hey, I'm here, just so you know this is me messing with you. Also, the spirit in question was a bit of he not a prankster, but he was a bit of a jovial trickster. So he's probably just laughing at me. So if anything goes wrong with this, and
It's
I'm not
his fault.
inviting, it's that or one of the other many ghosts that like to screw with the hosts of this podcast. Wow. So Andrea.
Yes.
We were discussing earlier before we started rolling that you are from Texas.
I am.
And you grew up in a military household.
Yeah, I grew up right outside of Fort Hood, Texas, which is what a lot of people don't know, the biggest military base in the United States.
Oh, wow.
In terms of, I don't know geographically if it's the largest, but population size, it's the largest. And it grew a lot after the Iraq War started in 2003. A lot of, like, there's a huge influx of more soldiers and soldiers' families into Killeen and Copper's Cove. But my mom was in the Army, and she served in the 80s through the early 90s.
Is she a sergeant or a
She
special
was,
agent?
Yeah,
Okay,
she was
good.
not a special agent. She was a sergeant, which that probably had something to do with a little bit of the conversation I had with the producers of the show when I first got the job. Is kind of like taking some elements from my own life and infusing that into the character.
Oh, that's cool.
That's a great
Yeah.
opportunity to do that. That's
yeah,
awesome.
It was great because I sat down with Scott Gemmel, who's the showrunner, and we just kind of talked a little bit about my life growing up and my hobbies and interests and just kind of getting to know me a little bit. And then throughout the season, I saw little tidbits thrown into the story that were related to Hidoko, which I thought was really cool.
Oh, that's cool.
I always think that's like hugely beneficial. Like when I'm going out for like military roles, I'm like, are they really going to buy him a captain? I mean, like, I can't even get my, my laundry in on time. But
just all my characters in shows slowly become like Star Wars fans and Bigfoot enthusiasts.
Right.
I'm
Stick
still
with-
waiting for Rachel Bloom to work that. I do think Tim from Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, being a Canadian, they should find out that he has a Bigfoot podcast.
I mean, why not?
Year. I think that would be a great idea. Did you be military? I always think you're either moving around a lot or you have a strict household or both.
All of the above.
Really?
Well, for me, I have two older sisters. There are four of us total. I'm number 3 of 4.
So you're like the corporal.
Yeah, I guess. Definitely not high ranking.
Is it all girls, or do you have a brother as well?
All girls.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, no boys in the family.
Wow.
My dad, he actually had 3 daughters with his first wife.
Oh my
and then
goodness.
when he married my mom, 4 more daughters.
He's
so
just
A scientific phenomenon.
that X chromosome
yeah,
was
he's
strong
just shooting
with my dad.
X's.
Right.
Firing X's across the board.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So my 2 older sisters, they moved a lot more than I did because, they're just older. Because they were born in St. Louis and then moved to Texas, which is where I was born. And then from there, we moved to Germany, which is where my little sister was born.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember a lot about living in Germany because I was so little. When we moved there, I was 1. And then when we came back, I was maybe 4 or 5 years old. So all I remember is lots of snow in the winter.
Okay.
Like in A Christmas Story when
That's a
Ralphie's
nice
little
memory.
brother wears the
Yeah,
snowsuit
yeah.
and he can't move his limbs.
So good.
Us.
That's kind of romantic. It's like, your first memories of snow were German snow. It was
Yes,
German
absolutely.
snow. A little Christmas
Beautiful
card.
German snow and lots of playgrounds and
Also, every time you pass a pretzel, you have to eat it.
I
you don't know
love
why.
pretzels.
Do you really?
I do.
Yeah.
German pretzels are German pretzels, German chocolate, or German chocolate cake, and
Black Forest cake?
Black
is that what it
Forest.
is?
That's
Yeah.
what it is. Black Forest
Oh my
cake.
gosh.
And sausages.
I took a
There you
train.
go.
I've only I've taken a train through Germany in college on the way from Amsterdam to Prague,
Mm-hmm.
and I remember taking the train through the Black Forest, and that was super cool. I was keeping my eyes out for gnomes, but I didn't see any.
Gnome such luck.
No.
Nice.
Boy, that's a t-shirt.
Ooh.
Slam dunk.
That is a t-shirt. You better, what is it, trademark or copyright? I don't know.
Trademark making
TM.
Collectors Club.
Yeah.
Get on
You know, I
that.
almost, for this week's story of high strangeness, I almost did stories of gnome encounters, which surprisingly enough, there are a lot out there.
Yeah.
Especially in South America.
Yeah, in South America.
Yeah, and I'm talking about gnomes that have pointy red caps and
Yeah.
beards and jagged teeth.
Oh,
and they tend to
gosh.
live in barns and they freak out people.
Wow. That's
so,
kind of messed up.
Stay tuned for that. I think I'm
That's
gonna. I think I know it's really wild.
Well, I love was it Expedia that did that whole campaign of commercials with the gnome, and those were some of my favorite commercials. They were just so there's something equally cute and creepy about gnomes.
Yeah, for sure.
Did you guys ever have that book growing up that was it was it must have come out in the 70s or early 80s, and it was like an illustration guidebook to gnomes. I think it was the book that David the Gnome was based on, the cartoon.
No, that'd
And-
only be you.
No, man, this
I
was
was
an
thinking
awesome
of David the Gnome.
This was an awesome book. It had really cool Brian Froud style illustrations of trolls and gnomes in it. But there were lots of illustrations of little naked gnomes taking baths and full frontal nudity from both sexes. And it was, of course, a very 70s book.
It's a different
Just,
time, yeah.
there's gnome bush in this book. And my parents would let me look at it. I mean, they're not having, they're not doing anything inappropriate. But I just remember being oh, this is kind of weird that this book has naked people in it, and it's okay for me to look at.
And that's affected your sexual life ever since.
Yes, I like very, very tiny penises.
Moving on.
We need to find this book for the BCC library.
I think my parents still have it. You can find it. I'm gonna look it up. But Andrea, so military.
Yeah.
Do you now? Can you Can you bounce a quarter off those sheets? Can you make a mean bed?
I see the thing about growing up military is one of two things happen. Either you stay on that path of discipline or you veer off onto your own path.
So what you're telling me is you're a slob.
No, I'm not a slob. I was a slob. I was messier in I hate the word slob.
Okay, fair enough.
But I
Loaded
was
word. Triggered. We triggered
I was
something.
very triggered by that. No, I was a lot messier in my earlier 20s. So you're living on your own for the first time. It's your
Yeah.
first time having independence. The first time nobody's telling you how to clean your house or make your bed and all of that. But now that I'm older and settled into adulthood and womanhood, I like a clean house.
Yeah.
Do I like cleaning my house?
No.
No.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah.
It's I like having written, but I don't like writing.
You just want to be an author past tense.
Yes. That's the way I was growing up, too. I'd draw pictures and be like, I wish this picture was done already. I don't like drawing it. I would rather just like have it.
I always loved that scene in that movie. What was it with Jennifer Aniston and Vince Vaughn where the breakup or
Yeah,
something?
the
Where she's
breakup.
like, I want you to want to do the dishes. And it's like, who wants to do the dishes? It always made so much sense to me.
Nobody.
Nobody
That's
does.
funny. That was one argument that I could not side with her on. It didn't make any sense.
Right.
It's called Gnomes, and it's by William Huygen. Huygen.
Huygen?
Yeah, let me show you a
Like
picture
Will
here.
Wheaton?
This book. You guys didn't ever see this book
Oh,
growing up?
it has a familiarity to
Here,
it.
look,
But
I know this picture's a little small on the laptop there, but
That doesn't look familiar.
not ringing
to
any
me.
bells?
No.
You're telling me you grew up, you had a childhood in Germany, and this little guy doesn't ring any bells at all.
No, because
All
that
right.
probably would have induced nightmares.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, there were trolls in it too, and they were pretty
See, because
scary.
my mom is religious. Like I was raised in a Christian household. I don't practice Christianity or any religion now, but my mom is still very much a Christian. And so,
Oh, this is a Christian Bigfoot podcast, so
Oh,
you can
she's-
see your way out.
Praise
that's-
Jesus.
But she never wanted us. Like she was not interested in weird little like a gnome would have been demonic to my
yeah.
mom. Like any figurine like that, like even the little troll dolls that people had when we were kids, the ones that had the little jewels in their belly button and the pink
Sure.
hair, we weren't allowed to have those. My mom thought they were demonic.
I mean, I would probably put my foot down with the. I thought you were saying kids were putting trolls in their belly buttons. I forgot that the dolls had that. I would have been like, this is where we draw the line. But sounds like you had a really fun childhood, Andrea.
I mean, we had fun in many, many ways, but there were just certain things that we couldn't do, like trick or treating was.
Oh wow!
Like
really?
we could go trick or treating, but we weren't allowed to wear costumes.
Oh my gosh.
We could go as our normal selves.
That
but
is
we
very
weren't,
Christian.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, when we got a little older, and my sisters would take us, and me and my little sister, my mom wouldn't go. You know, my sisters would put like little cat faces on us and stuff like that, just to give us a little something. But never had costumes as a kid.
Wow.
Oh boy! So now you just wear costumes every day of the week.
Listen, I'm leaving early Wednesday morning to go to Lightning in a Bottle.
Oh, nice.
Wait, what's that?
Yeah.
Oh
a
my
festival.
god, we have to talk about festivals.
Wait,
for a
what's
second.
lightning in a bottle? Let's do it.
I mean, maybe
You go. No, you go, please.
So, I mean, it's every person that you ask will probably say something a little bit different about it, but it's a transformational festival. So it's different from something like Coachella, which is more for like Instagram and photos, see and be seen, like just partying. LIB is also music based, but it's more so centered around like art and community. And so you have 35,000 people that go to this festival and wear crazy costumes, and just it's about self-expression and
Wow.
acceptance.
I
and
think there's a guy, a Facebook friend that I know. This must be what he's been posting about, because I
Probably.
think he does stuff like this,
it's
and he's always.
amazing.
Is it kind of like
So
a
what are you gonna
is
go
it sort
as?
of rave culture?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's definitely party culture. Let's not, be unclear about that.
Sure, yeah.
I mean, you party, like people drink, people do
Let
drugs.
your hair down, yeah.
But it's the kind of festival where, everybody camps. It's not like you're going to stay at a hotel or a nice house and drive in. It's 24/7. There's always something going on: yoga, workshops, cooking classes, food, surprise guest DJs, like all types of
Those
stuff.
are like 5 things I wouldn't associate with raves. Like yoga, cooking.
Those are the
and-
best people.
That's
Like
amazing.
ravers are the most amazing. Like they have the best vibes, all about community,
Yeah.
spreading good energy and
But
love.
nobody
and
does the dishes.
nobody does the dishes. But everybody cleans up after
So where are you
themselves.
saying? I can't imagine this is like happening at a Hilton.
No, it's in Bradley, California, which is 4 hours north of here, like closer to why am I drawing a blank? San Francisco.
Okay.
And they have this whole giant, I don't even know if it's private land or federal or not, but it's just like this big open space. And with all the rain we got last year, there's a lake now. So last year
wow.
we got to swim, whereas the previous years there was no swimming. It's amazing.
Sounds fun.
And I don't wear when it comes to costumes, like some people dress up as something specific. Like I've seen people walking around in T-Rex costumes, like the big blow up T-Rex costumes. I've seen bananas, I've seen vaginas, but then you also just see just people wearing like mismatched things and just lots of colors and lights.
Just getting their
and
shine on.
Just doing whatever they feel like doing. Like if they
Sure.
want to wear booty shorts, but then wear like, I don't know, a big fur coat and a cowboy hat and space boots. Do you?
Is there a guy who likes
Love
to
it.
walk around handing out free massages? Because
You could get a massage very easily.
I just pictured your origin story of you going to Lightning in the Bottle for the first time, still as little Andrea dressed in just normal clothing, and then realizing, I can dress up.
Yes. The first time I went, I didn't really know what to expect. I was kind of just going through like a rougher time in my life and was looking for like an opening, like something that would just allow me to express and feel. And I remember saying in my acting class that I just wanted to be free. And one of my friends told me to go to Burning Man. And I had just missed the cutoff for Burning Man. Like it was like that week when we had the conversation. So Lightning in a Bottle was my first festival, and it changed my whole perspective on just like the world and what I can do as an individual to promote positivity and passing that energy on. And then Burning Man was the next step after that, and that changed my life.
Really? Wow.
Yes. Yeah, my
Riley, have you
whole
done
life
it?
changed after
Yeah,
Burning
I
Man.
went to Burning Man when I was 18. It was the first time I ever used Craigslist. It was really exciting. I got a ticket and a ride, and I just went.
Wow.
That's
I
how
can
it
totally
happened.
picture that.
So many of my friends, like the day before, had never even thought about going, and randomly, like they were going through something, or they just were talking to somebody, and the friend was just like, oh, well, I have an extra ticket, or I know somebody, or oh, I need, somebody to drive up there with. Why don't you come with? And they just went with a backpack, and then while they're there, every single thing that you're needed will be provided for
Yeah.
you.
It's like a
It was-
year
it
of
was-
psychotherapy jammed into like 6 days or something.
It really is.
It's so many things.
What
was
camp do you
incredible.
stay at when you're up there?
Well, I went by myself.
Oh, wow.
And I camped alone.
Wow.
Yeah, I made a lot of friends when I was there. A lot of people that I'm still really good friends with. But I went like I wanted it to be my experience. I didn't
Right.
want to have to worry about going anywhere with anybody. Like I didn't want to compromise. That's really what it came down to.
So who are you going up to LIB with?
I'm going with my boyfriend Stu.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Okay.
and it's his first time going.
Oh, all right.
Awesome.
I'm
So
really,
are
really
you
excited.
expecting him to
Wear booty
he's-
shorts?
He's so dope, and he's just like he has such amazing energy. He's such a good person, and he just kind of like fits right in with that ethos and that energy. And we went to a festival together a month ago called Desert Hearts, which is kind of like Lightning in a Bottle, but on a very, very, very small scale. And it's centered around just house and techno music.
Okay.
It's 72 hours straight music.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's a rave.
Do you sleep at all?
You get your sleep in when you can,
Right.
but he's dope. Like he was so much fun to go with, and this is an even better experience because it's so much more interactive, and there's even more to do, and it'll give him an opportunity to, if he wants to just kind of go off and do his own thing.
Oh, that's cool. I'm afraid that I would just be like the boyfriend who's like, "Oh, where am I supposed to poop?
Yeah.
Well, I have my own toilet.
Yeah, there you
Nice.
go.
I gotta get one of
I camp
those.
in style, okay?
Problem
Oh, so you're
solved.
a
I camp in-
glamper.
I'm a glamper, but I mean, I get dirty. Like I have my work gloves, and I will get down in the dirt. I when I went to Burning Man, I did everything myself.
Now, did you learn that from your military upbringing?
I didn't. I mean, I didn't camp growing up, but we were always put to work, always.
Right.
Chores, yard work. I mean, putting up Christmas lights, like you name it, we did it ourselves because my parents divorced when I was maybe 7 or 8 years old, and my mom had 4 daughters, and she bought a house, it was like her everything that she had worked towards was that house. And so for her, it was about, if anything needed to get done, we did it. So like I remember when we moved in, it still had a bunch of 70s decor, like lime green paint on the walls, and like
Lucky.
my bedroom had like pink carpet and like wood paneling in the living room, very dated. And we went and like me, my sisters, and my mom ripped up carpets, laid tile. We painted the outside of the house. Like we
Strip
did
the asbestos from the walls.
all of that. All of that. We did everything. I mean, I put like crown molding.
That's
on
empowering.
floors.
I
Yeah.
think that's good to do.
Yeah, I mean, we hated it.
Right.
Of course.
Right.
I didn't appreciate it at all. But
now you do,
I
looking
do.
back.
Yeah, looking back, which is, I guess, that's like the sacrifice of parenthood is that
Right.
your kids don't appreciate you until way later.
Appreciate it now.
The worst would be Saturday morning when I'd be watching like the real Ghostbusters, and my dad would march in out of nowhere and be like, "Outside now, you're pulling weeds." And I'm
Yep.
like,
Oh my God.
Yep.
That sounds like my wife. Bryce, outside now. Help me with these weeds. No.
You married my dad. Okay, so spiritual family. You're into like cool rave music, all this stuff. Or
Yeah.
I mean, like religious family. You're obviously evolved in some of this stuff that you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
What is your personal paranormal history?
I started, I mean, my first experience that I remember that was a very vivid experience. And this is something that everyone in my family agrees happened, which is
Great.
kind of unusual, I feel like, with a lot of these types of stories. So let me get a sip of water and I'll start from the
Oh,
beginning.
yeah, I can't wait. This story requires a sip of water. You know it's going to be
Love
good.
that.
Building the tension.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, she's unscrewing the cap. She's
Sipping
sipping
the
the
water.
sip. She's putting the cap back on. Oh,
She is refreshed.
now it's all settle in for story time.
So the house that I grew up in, let me backtrack. It's not the house that I grew up in, but it's the house that we lived in for a couple of years when we moved back from Germany.
Okay, so not the 70s house.
Not the 70s house. The house, it was like a couple houses before that. This was on Clairwood Street in Killeen, Texas. And I don't remember the house number. So, even if I did, I wouldn't say it, out of respect for whoever's living there.
Yeah, no kidding.
But
One car pulls up. It's me.
I'm the one you talked about on that podcast. So with growing up Christian, going to church every Sunday, and my mom being very spiritual, one of the things that was like a ritual with whenever we moved was that my mom would like bless the house. And so she had this bottle of like holy oil that was prayed over by the bishop of our church. And so it was very meaningful to her. And so my mom would go through the house and like say prayers, and she would put the holy oil above the door, like in the shape of a cross as she's
Sure.
praying. And she would do it over every bedroom. And when we first moved into the house, she did her little ritual of putting the holy oil over the doors, and then we all left for the day. I don't remember exactly what we were doing, but when we came back, all of the bedroom doors were open. She had put the cross over the doors and closed them. And then when we came back, every single bedroom door was wide open,
Wow.
as if they had never been closed. And I remember we were kind of like, oh my God, what? And my mom was just calm, cool, collected. And she was just like, that's what's supposed to happen. That means all the bad spirits just left.
Wow, that's wild.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Yeah. And like little things like that. And my mom, like, strangely, she loves horror films. She loves films like The Omen and Damien and like
I feel like your mom is like, demons, I got this.
exactly. That's literally it.
Right.
She like The Exorcist. She loves those movies, but she watches them with such a strong like spiritual center.
It's like
They
World War II
they
movies
don't
for
bother
dads.
her.
Right.
She loves the stories and all of that, but like the spiritual element does not disturb her in the way that it disturbed. Like I watched The Exorcist when I was 14, and I'm still fucked up in that movie.
No doubt.
But
I'm
my
the same
mom,
way.
she's probably seen it 10 times. She said she saw it in theaters when it came out.
It's her Star Wars.
Wow. Wow. That's amazing.
But then my second story, which is better, this also happened in that same house. Me and my sister, my younger sister Markia, shared a bedroom until I was probably 13. And we had two twin beds next to each other. And we had Disney posters of like various Disney movies all over our walls. We had The Little Mermaid. I think we had, maybe Snow White. And there was The Jungle Book. And this must have been in maybe like 1992 or 93 when this happened. So we had a big poster of The Jungle Book. And that poster hung over my sister's bed. So I'm trying to remember, like when you walk into the bedroom, my sister's bed was on the left side. And that's where the poster hang. And then my bed was on the right side. Okay, yeah. So at night, I used to lay in bed awake sometimes, and I would just like look at the posters on the wall because sometimes, in the dark, the figures, they get kind of scary.
Yeah.
And they get distorted and all.
Start
And
to move a little like wave.
Exactly. And your imagination starts going crazy and all of that. And I remember looking at the Jungle Book poster, and it had all of the characters out. And I don't remember exactly. There were like trees and things, but they were all just kind of like standing there, like smiling at you, right?
Right.
And I remember King Louis.
Oh, brother, it's always King Louis.
It's always King Louis.
It's not gonna be Shere Khan.
Yeah.
Not Shere Khan.
It's not what's the boa constrictor's name?
Hiss.
Oh,
Or I might
no,
be
that's
confused.
in
That's a
Robin
different
Hood.
movie. Okay.
Oh, brother,
Also
I can't
good.
believe I forget it. Anyway, go on.
But King Louis with his scary ass. And I remember just looking at the poster, and King Louis started swinging through the branches in the trees.
What?
Yeah. And for some reason, I was scared, but it wasn't something that really shook me. It was just sort of like a weird thing.
Yeah.
I must have been like 6 or 7 when this happened. Maybe a little bit older. Actually, no, I would have been around 8.
Mm-hmm.
I would have been around 8, and it definitely would have been later than 92. I'm sorry, I'm rambling, guys. I'm
No,
just trying
no,
to
no,
remember
you're
all
good.
the details.
This is if you had listened to our podcast, you would know
We
quite a bit of rambling.
Yes.
So that happened once or twice, and I don't remember saying anything to my parents about it or really thinking anything twice. Because, you go to sleep and you wake up in the morning and you forget
Yeah.
what you saw the night before. And then one night, I got up in the middle of the night to go pee. And I was in the bathroom, and then my little sister started screaming at the top of her lungs. And I remember bolting out of the bathroom and running back into our bedroom, which was closest to the bathroom. And I like jumped on her bed, like on top of her to cover her. It was almost like, I don't know if it was like a protective instinct or what, but like I just ran and jumped on top of her because she was screaming. And then 2 seconds later, my parents were in the bedroom too, and my sisters who also shared, my 2 older sisters who shared a bedroom, were like, doors were flying open and everyone's like running out and like, what's going on? My mom's like freaking out and screaming. And when Kiki finally calmed down enough and was like kind of like getting through the tears to talk about what freaked her out so bad, she said that she was looking at the poster and King Louis was moving.
Oh man.
What?
Verification.
Up. Goosebump test.
Yeah.
Just passed it.
I just got chills again thinking about
Yikes,
it.
Look at that.
Yeah, that's
hair
wild.
standing up on
We
my.
still talk about that
arms.
in my family.
Whoa.
Because it was so crazy that I had seen it, and then days later, my sister had the same like nightmare or
Wow.
vision. I don't know if she saw what I
Right.
saw, but there
do
was a connection there.
What do you think that was?
Yeah. What does your instinct tell you about
I
that?
mean, my cynical side or my practical side wants to just say it's imagination, and especially when you're that young as a kid. I mean, you know how like children have the most beautifully lush, vibrant imaginations. Like as adults, as actors, we're spending every day trying to recapture that,
Right.
And I just feel like it might have been that, but I really
So
don't
specific,
know.
though.
I know.
It's
I feel like, but I don't know. I think what makes me so confused about it is I don't understand the purpose. Like what would have been gained from that? Like I feel like everything is supposed to have a purpose to it, and I don't know what that purpose was.
I don't know. I don't know if necessarily that's true. I mean, I'm just.
I want to feel like everything has a purpose.
Well, I mean, let's say it was something supernatural.
Yeah.
Then let's say maybe it was a way for whatever spirit was lingering in that house to communicate. Maybe even just be like, hey, y'all, I'm here.
Yeah.
Or it might have been something a little bit more malevolent had you, the youngest girls in the family, indulged it more, gotten stronger, and been able to step out of its dimension into ours and fucked with you guys even more, But it sounds like it got a pretty good. I mean, what happened
Yeah.
to the poster was my next question.
The poster came down that
Yeah.
night
Oh, yeah.
immediately. I mean,
Mom
it was.
ripped that
You're one of the
shit down.
smart girls in the movie.
Yeah, it was pulled right off the off the wall. Exactly. We're not the ones that are like, oh well, it
It's
came with
fine.
the house, so let's just see, its historical value. Like, no,
We'll put it in the attic.
it'll be worth $1 million in 10 years.
Right.
No, she pulled it off the wall. She immediately, like, we all sat together, and I remember we all prayed. I don't remember if she re-blessed the room or anything
You
like
know
that.
she re-blessed that room.
She must
Coming
have.
back in with some oil.
She
I would
came
have
in
to-
with a power washer
should, like,
and
phone a-
just
right?
holy watered that shit
in
down.
a cross.
I should like phone a
You're
friend and
good.
call my mom and ask her. But yeah, I mean, there was definitely like, because my mom was very quick about like jumping on that. Anytime we came to her and said, I had a bad dream, or Mom, I'm scared, or Mom, I saw something, she would immediately nip it in the bud and be like, that's the devil trying to put fear in you. And, and it was like, as a kid, it was comforting.
I was going to say that can go either to, it could go, it's better than being like, it's just a nightmare. It is scary to be like, oh, okay, so it is the devil and he is trying to get me.
But it gives you something, not tangible, but it gives you something concrete.
I understand that. And especially if your mom seems so strong about it, I'd be like, okay, at least mom's on
Yeah,
this.
I mean, I had no reason to disbelieve her whatsoever when she said that. I mean, and I don't feel that way now. I do think that there's something a little bit, like there's something more complex about it than just saying it's the devil.
It doesn't have to be binary, angelic or demonic.
But I believe heavily in energy. And so like what my mom calls demonic, I call bad energy.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. It just has it's semantics.
Yeah.
And
I would agree with
so, and that's kind of like, and me and my mom and I had a lot of conflict throughout my teens and my early 20s and my 20s, over religion and belief systems and all of that. And we've kind of come to a point now where we say that, okay, Mom, you say God, I say the universe. And we both mean the same thing.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean we have to fight about it.
Yeah.
It's got to be tough for religious parents. I mean, my mother's Presbyterian. She's not so fire and brimstone. Not saying your mom is.
My mom's a little fire and brimstone.
Yeah,
it's
she's
okay.
not-
I
she's-
hope she wouldn't be offended by that, but it's the truth.
Yeah, like my
A lot of
mom's
people are.
My mom's pretty laid back about it, but I mean, she, quietly takes a lot of stuff, she takes it pretty seriously. And it must be tough for some parents, especially with our generation of kids growing up into adulthood, we tend to be a bit more secular and a little bit open and sort of, we are using different vocabularies. Because I do kind of, if I really unpack it, I tend to still have sort of the bare bones structure of a Christian belief system, but I've
course.
sort of replaced it with other
cherry
words and other
picking.
things as well, like you have.
Yeah, I mean, I believe in cherry picking. I believe that there are valuable things that you can take from all religions.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean everything is right, but our moral codes are so individual, and so you can find amazing things in Christianity, in Islam, in Buddhism, in atheism, and honestly, like I recently read like the 10 commandments of like the Church of Satan.
Oh yeah.
And they're actually very like they're very basic moral codes that nobody could really disagree with
Yeah.
if you're being honest.
Yeah.
So
No,
there's
it is
something for everybody.
Do what thou wilt,
Yeah,
as
yeah,
long as
yeah.
it doesn't impede on that what others.
But then
That's
there's like
their
a
tenet.
specific one about doing no harm to children,
Yeah.
which is obviously something that isn't a
Counterintuitive to what
problem.
most people would feel that would be on the 10 Commandments of Satanism.
Yeah.
but-
Right.
But I don't
Very-
know anything else about Satanism,
Yeah, no.
honestly.
but
so.
it is
Very
it has
interesting.
gotten
Yeah.
I mean the sort of Anton LaVey like Church of Satan is like different than what people consider satanic and satanic cults.
Totally.
It's not the same thing. It's just a little bit more of a secular belief system.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
more
Then-
focused on like rebellion against.
Yeah, and
like,
it's just a
oppression.
little punk rock.
Yeah.
But then you
But-
hear Satan, and then it's just
It's a loaded word.
It's kind of
Yeah.
very loaded
it's kind of a
word.
troll.
He's
I think
got
they
a
just-
bad
I
rap.
think
I mean,
it
which
is.
is
I think it's
par
trolling
for
the
the course.
system.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
But what you had to say about religion, though, I think that's really great. I think we use more of that perspective in the world, really. Just they all have something great to offer, and
Yeah.
you don't necessarily have to be hard line with any of them. I think that's great.
No, that's true. I think that concept is called perennial philosophy, where there's grains of truth in every single religion across
Okay.
the globe. So everybody has something to offer, and
Yes.
it's true for that culture or that society, and it doesn't negate. Being a Buddhist doesn't negate being a Christian. And I mean, there's people are finding a lot of similarities and a lot of
Exactly.
things in connection.
Well, I mean, it comes back to kind of what I was saying earlier about like the festivals and and community. You know, like that's the beautiful thing about that is we're all so different. We all have such different interests and the different ways that we express ourselves, but we all come together and we say, yeah, we're doing our thing a little bit differently, but that's cool. And I love that you're doing your thing the way you are.
Yeah.
So stand next to me and be you, and I'm going to stand here and be me. And that's great.
Well, it sounds like that would just raise the energy of whatever consciousness
the energy
or whatever.
is
Just
insane. Like you guys have no idea what it's like to be in a space like that where everybody, it's like a collective mind, like a hive mind, but at the same time, it's all these little individual minds that have like one thing in common, which is community.
Yeah, I would imagine looking up at the sky for like some sort of communication from either like a UFO or orb, like with all that energy and like in the clear night sky. And
Yeah, I definitely feel like you're summoning something.
definitely, or somebody be interested in observing that.
Well, I don't.
Go for it.
Do you guys ever talk about like psychedelics?
Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
Well,
yeah.
because I mean, I really don't know if I should say
DMT,
this.
No, you can.
ayahuasca.
But-
Yeah.
Totally
Well,
safe.
because like my first experience with psychedelics is what opened me up to the universe.
Yeah.
Like that is where I realized how deeply
A
connected
vast
we are.
connection.
Yeah. On
You
like
wouldn't be the only one.
yeah, and it's just, and it was powerful. Like I remember staring up at the stars. This was at Lightning in a Bottle, actually, the first time I had that kind of experience, and staring up at the stars, and just they were moving, which was new.
And then King Louis, that fucking King Louis came swinging on all those stars.
Goddamn King Louis! I can't escape
Stay out
him.
of this, King Louis.
But yeah, I was looking at the stars and just realizing how small and insignificant I was, but also
Yeah.
how powerful I was in that moment.
Yep.
And then looked around at all of the people, and I could see like the energy fields vibrating, and it was beautiful.
Yeah.
It made me feel so connected to the earth and to humans, and just made me want to be a better person.
Well, it's like if our brain is like on a frequency, you know, when you take psychedelics, it changes that frequency, and you're able to see energies and light in a different
Yeah.
perspective than everything that we're on. And not, you know, I think there's a lot of interesting data there to be looked at.
I mean, and it's still taboo to talk about, and it's obviously it's illegal, but I think it's also illegal for a reason, and
Yeah.
it's not because it's a hindrance. It's because
No,
it's
people
too
it's
powerful
being
for humans to have that level of
suppressed.
consciousness.
Yeah.
Yes, it's definitely suppression.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's becoming less and less taboo, though.
Yeah.
So,
I
to
mean,
talk
I-
about for sure.
And
Well, 'cause I
talking
think
about
about-
it does that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so
You
thanks
do.
for bringing it up.
Yeah,
Of course.
without a
I mean,
doubt.
it's. I mean, I'm an actor on a network television show talking
Oh,
about
it's
psychedelics, but I honestly
fine.
don't give a shit because it's like it's.
Do you know how
I've-
many network execs and producers have done psychedelics?
Yeah.
You're
I
fine.
know, but it's like it's still kind of scary because when you're explaining it and talking about it, it is a conversation about a higher level of consciousness.
Without a
and
doubt.
what does that mean? And
Yeah.
and how are you like carrying that forward? And a lot of people are not open to that.
Listen,
No.
some of our greatest scientific discoveries have been brought forth through psychedelics.
Yeah.
Francis Crick was the discoverer of the double helix DNA, and later in his life, he admitted to being on LSD at the time of discovering.
Yeah, and
that.
think I
hearing a
read that
higher
somewhere.
intelligence guiding him to look in the right places to find to
Interesting.
discover it.
There's philosophers, scientists who have all been led in a pretty intriguing direction through psychedelics like LSD,
Yeah.
ayahuasca, DMT. I mean, there's a lot of discoveries being
Ayahuasca
made.
is
So
very interesting to me.
Me too.
I know someone who does ceremonies.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
me too.
And I'm just like, girl, I'm gonna text you one of these days because she did. I don't want to reveal her identity just in case, but I've known her for a few years now, and she's in like the arts,
mhm.
and was very like kind of like I'm drawing a blank. The way she presents herself, like very like girly and like dressy and makeup and jewelry and kind of like flashy a little bit. Not to the point where it was obnoxious, just kind of like materialistic in the way that a lot of us are. Like, I mean, look at me right now.
You look
But
fabulous.
thank you. But I just mean like putting so much thought and care into things that
Sure.
really aren't important. And she was running her own business, and she had been running her own business for like 10 years and was her attitude was suffering and she was just feeling disillusioned and not feeling like she, was doing the right thing in her life. She went to an ayahuasca ceremony, came back. Like I saw her probably 2 days after she did it, and her eyes were so clear.
Opened up a whole
Just
other
like
world, huh?
opened up. She wasn't wearing a stitch of makeup.
Yeah.
And she was just like, Andrea, I'm closing my business.
Yeah.
Whoa.
And she was like, I know what I need to do. And she closed her business and she started because she does like beauty. And so now she works on her own. She got rid of all of her employees, got rid of her real estate, all of that.
They were like,
Has to-
thanks, ayahuasca plant.
She gave them notice, which
Yeah.
was kind of her, but she did, like, it was what she needed to do, and she completely changed her life, and now she's become like a spiritual guide,
Yeah.
and she takes classes, and now she does ceremony, and like she like found her true calling from that, and she's so happy
That's
Yeah.
now.
awesome.
That's awesome.
Well, those
So-
shamanic and those sort of ceremonial experiences, they run absolutely counterintuitive to our materialist world and where we think that we garner our happiness from,
Yeah.
which is getting things and obtaining things. And there's those tribes that don't have the childish taboo that we have here in America of something like, taking ayahuasca. They've been doing it in their tribes for millennia,
Yes,
and they come back with healing knowledge and yeah, so that it's very interesting
There's
stuff.
I honestly believe there's information to be learned from plants. I
Yeah.
mean, it sounds so crazy.
It
but
it
doesn't
doesn't sound crazy at all.
It's-
There's a
it's-
It's not crazy.
It's in there.
They're there
There's
for
a-
a reason.
yeah.
That goes back to what I mean. It's like every single thing that exists on this planet, every plant, every animal is there for a reason.
Well, and
Like,
also,
it contributes in some way to the ecosystem.
yeah, and this isn't my idea. This has come from reading a bunch of different books, but like it makes so much sense to me that if you were a higher intelligence, whether you call that God or like an alien intelligence, where else to store knowledge that will be beneficial to human race or animals that are of that earth than in the plant life. In the plant, if you can unlock it, if you can cook it, if you can eat it, smoke it,
Yeah.
then and gain knowledge through that. That's like that will last longer than books or we're talking about putting it in a species. It's just fascinating to me.
Well-
Have you ever read Aldous Huxley? Have you read The Doors of Perception?
No, but
You should-
he wrote Brave New World. Didn't
Yeah,
he?
you should read his book, Doors of Perception. It's all about his psychedelic breakthrough and doing mescaline and then like meditation. It's a really short
It
book.
sounds really
It's a really
fascinating.
cool book. And it was sort of kicked off. It was one of the works that kind of kicked off the psychedelic age. I think he wrote it in the 50s. So it was part of like,
Very, very new.
before
Yeah.
the like, even the like revolution in the Cultural Revolution in the 60s. I think it's like
The hippie
1955.
movement.
Yeah.
The free love.
Yeah, it's kind of like during the beat generation time, but it's great because he was also like out here in LA, living in the Hollywood Hills, for parts of it. It's a great. You should definitely read that book.
I
It's
will. Thank you
super
so
cool.
much.
And listeners out there, if you're interested, you look to Huxley.
Yeah, the
Well,
other
if
great.
you-
Sorry,
No,
I
go
didn't mean
ahead.
to jump over, but the Terrence McKenna is another
Oh,
great
yeah.
resource for
Without a
that.
doubt.
Yeah, so many of his speeches are available like online, and his big thing was talking about how mushrooms helped evolve the human brain and like unlock.
I can't imagine how
things.
it wouldn't have helped.
Yeah,
because
the stoned ape theory.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but it's great.
incredible.
He's just if you just Google Terrence McKenna,
I spent like a
Stoned
month.
ape
I spent
theory.
I spent a month YouTubing Terrence
So
McKenna.
they so,
It's
so is it
incredible.
like in a nutshell, is it just a theory that our
Well, they-
our prehistoric ancestors found some
discovered
magic mushrooms
psilocybin through
and-
mushrooms, and it enhanced their vision and it enhanced their cognitive capabilities, and from there evolution started taking radical jumps. And
I like that.
yeah, it's pretty
good.
it's pretty wild.
I mean, if you've ever taken mushrooms, you know that shit's believable.
Yeah,
Oh
radical
my
jump,
gosh.
that's for
Oh
sure.
my gosh, I've had some crazy experiences
Well,
on that. But
if you guys ever do a dope festival or something, like if you ever did something like Desert Hearts,
Yeah.
Desert Hearts takes place on an Indian reservation,
oh man,
and the locals do come and party.
oh wow,
So
that's
it's,
wild.
It's
Oh, wow,
it's
cool.
definitely because I've done a bunch of stuff, but like LIB, Desert Hearts, Burning Man, but there's something magical about being out there
I bet.
in that space. So if you ever decide to, pop your cherry, I think that's the one to do.
All right. Well, and I got a list of.
That was a terrible term to
No.
use.
No.
You did say you like cherry picking. I got a list of books I'll give you too.
Okay.
But before we go, we have a new segment.
Oh, new segment.
New segment
segment.
time. It's summertime, and we
Doesn't
like.
feel like summertime.
Well, it's going to be when this airs. This is June 6th when this airs, and so I thought, you know what? Let's switch things up a little bit for summer. So we have a new game,
Oh.
and it's called Bullshit or Believe It.
Love
All right.
it. All
It's-
right.
Is it when you say two things? Okay,
It's
I'm sorry.
rapid
I'm
fire.
jumping over you.
It's rapid fire.
Okay.
This is the first time we've ever played it.
Okay.
These guys don't even know about it. I'm gonna list things one by one, and you tell me if it's bullshit or you believe it.
And then you're
That's
going to tell
it.
us whether or not it's true?
No, this is your call. There's no wrong answer. I'm just gonna name things.
Wait, am I playing by myself?
Yep.
Oh, God.
It's rapid
You got
fire.
this.
It's
Okay.
rapid fire, and then if we want to go back and talk about any of them, we can.
Bullshit or believe? Can you just give me an example of one?
Like, sure, I'll say religion,
Got it.
and
Okay.
you're like, it's either
Bullshit.
Okay, cool. All right, you ready?
All right, yeah.
All right, we're gonna put in a little sound effect right there.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
and then here we go, real quick.
Ready.
Ghosts,
Believe it.
alien greys,
Believe it.
angels,
Believe it.
gnomes,
No. Bullshit.
JFK assassination conspiracy,
Believe it.
Yeti,
Bullshit.
unicorns,
Bullshit.
Loch Ness monster,
Believe it.
parallel universes,
Believe it.
reptilians disguising themselves as humans,
Bullshit.
heaven,
Believe it.
hell,
Believe it.
dragons,
Believe it. No, it's just bullshit.
elves,
Elves? Bullshit.
ESP,
Believe it.
demons,
Believe it.
Atlantis,
Believe it.
faith in your career.
Believe it.
All right, great. That
You
was
tried
good.
to trick her at the end.
I believe in so many things.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Wait, that's a great game.
Yeah,
That
that
is
was
fun.
awesome.
That
It's
was really fun.
our new game. All
I
right,
like
so
it.
no gnomes and elves for you.
No gnomes or elves.
Good
Did
for you.
What did you say about unicorns?
Bullshit.
Yeah, that's pretty much how we think too. I wish we had more time to dig into the JFK assassination conspiracy. We don't do
Right?
that on this show, but I threw it in there for good measure.
That would be fun.
Anything jump out of there for you?
Wow. No, that was fun.
Uh-huh.
I
All
think
right,
I
cool.
think we're on par with a lot of that.
That's sort of the
Yeah.
extension of the ghost, Bigfoot, UFO we've
Yeah.
been doing. All right, great. We're going to take a quick break, and we come back. It's time for High Strangeness.
Wow.
Ooh.
Cool.
And-
Bullshit.
Damn it.
Sorry.
Let me tell the story
A little
first.
left over from
It's
last
time
segment.
for High Strangeness.
Cool.
This story I picked out particularly for Andrea, not knowing really anything about her. But you'll see why
Wait.
I selected this for you.
Okay.
We begin it with a quote. Just about the time man, in all his wisdom, decides he has this world and everything in it all figured out, along comes something he can't explain. Thus spake Jerry Taft, news reporter for WFA Dallas, the week after something very strange was occurring at Greer Island Nature Reserve on Lake Worth near Fort Worth, Texas.
Oh.
See what I did there?
There you
I
go.
mean, I'm already not optimistic since this takes place in Texas.
This is this is one of your local Texas folklore
That's always
stories.
fun.
Just kidding, Texans.
All right, here
Y'all
we go.
are great.
It was the summer of 1969, and for some Texas locals, the summer of love was soon to become the summer of the Lake Worth monster.
Ooh.
Now, the timeline is a little hazy due to conflicting reports, but from what I can tell, is that it all started on or around July 9th when three couples, including John Reichart and his wife, were parked by the lake when they were attacked by a large creature that dropped out of an oak tree and onto the hood of Jim's car. Now, why is it that the trouble of the unexplained variety always seems to strike during summertime?
Dude.
According to eyewitnesses,
Sundresses.
it's true.
It's
yeah,
the
right.
Sundresses.
It
Yeah.
brings out the monsters.
I like that theory.
We have a lot of stories that are all summertime stories. Like the summer of 1952 UFO flap, the Flatwoods Monster. A lot of stuff happens in summertime. The Lizard Man of Skateboard Swamp. That was a summer story.
Connecting the dots.
I know. I think sometimes maybe the world between the veil between our world and the next is maybe a little thin.
It's like the 3 a.m. of seasons.
yeah, Midsummer. That's what they say. Now, According to the eyewitnesses, the monster appeared to be between 8 and 10 feet tall.
Now, this fell on top of their car.
It was sitting in an oak tree.
8 to 10 feet tall, and they didn't see
broke a
it?
branch. It was above their car.
Okay.
They were parked. They were all like making out. This was like
I believe
Greer
it's
Island
called
Reserve.
necking.
Yeah, they were all necking. This was a place where like locals would go to party, hang out, make out. And there was apparently some creature, which I'll describe momentarily, dropped out, broke a branch, dropped out of the car onto the hood of their car.
Okay.
And he appeared to be between 8 and 10 feet tall. And the multiple witnesses described it as a half man, half goat, covered in white fur and scales. It reached into John's car, but was thrown from the vehicle when John lurched into gear and sped away. The couples went straight to the police department to report the incident, and local law enforcement took them fairly seriously, especially when they caught a glimpse of the deep 18-inch gash running along the side of Jim's car.
Wow.
A souvenir of the encounter left behind by the monster's clawed hands. In fact, police had been receiving reports of a strange being lurking near Greer Island for a couple months. Now, the next day, July 10th, the now famous reporter and UFO researcher Jim Mars covered the story for the Fort Worth Star-Telegram with a headline about a fishy goat monster terrifying young couples. That very night, a crowd of people gathered down at Greer Island Nature Reserve. Rick Pratt was director of the Nature Reserve at the time, and in a retrospective for the Dallas Morning News a couple years back, he recalled that night saying people wanted to come out to party and keep an eye out for the so-called Goat Man, excited that they had their very own Sasquatch. So, that night, eyewitnesses Jack Harris and a dozen other people spotted the creature crossing the road and chased it up a limestone bluff.
That's very specific.
And I know.
Limestone.
Yeah, it was a limestone bluff. They're very into their ecology down there at Greer Island Nature Reserve. Now, agitated, the creature stood on the ridge overlooking the nearby sand pits and a crowd of 40 to 50 people. Letting out an inhuman cry, the monster hurled a tire over the ridge, sending it flying 500 feet. People scrambled in fear. A local by the name of Ronnie Armstrong crashed his car into a tree trying to escape. The scene quickly devolved into utter pandemonium.
Oh my
From
gosh.
a tire.
Yeah, this
That's
giant creature was standing on the ridge. Everybody claims they saw it, and it hurled a tire.
Hell yeah.
Jim Mars again reported that story for the Star-Telegram the next day.
Wow.
So the local broadcast news were also on board. Jim Taft for the WFFA Channel 8 News interviewed locals who witnessed the legendary tire hurling, or as they like to say, tire hurling. One man who dug the tire out of the sand pit noted that it must have been ripped off a pickup truck. He made one thing very clear. The incident was terrifying. The monster was covered in fur, white fur, about 350 pounds. Another local man told the reporter that there's no way the creature could have been a person in a costume. At this point, they're starting to describe it that he almost looks more like a gorilla.
Yeah. And what person in a costume can leave 18-inch marks into a car?
This is what he said. The other man he's interviewed, and you can watch these clips on YouTube.
I'm imagining like a satyr or something.
Originally he was described kind of like a satyr.
Like half man, half goat.
Yeah, and they sort of were putting that in the headlines. But the creature that they all witnessed here, he seemed to look more like a Sasquatch. But reports did say that he had some scales to him and maybe some horns. Now we have some theories why that might be later. So where was I? Oh, so the other gentleman, you can watch these clips on YouTube, and I will put them up on our Facebook page. They are awesome. He said that it couldn't have been. It was too tall and too strong to be some prankster in a monkey suit. And its voice was too unnatural. It let out what they said was a pitiful, sad howl.
Ooh.
Ugh.
So the story
Sounds haunting.
Yeah, right. The story continues to run all week across newspapers and local broadcasts. And Andrea is right about the haunting thing because they featured headlines about ghosts and monsters haunting the lake. Citizens continued to gather in the Greer Island Nature Reserve armed with shotguns, hoping to capture or kill
That's Texas.
what they started to call Lake Worth. They wanted to hunt it down. Large tracks were found, 18-inch long prints. As summer rolled and 8 inches wide. As summer rolled on, there were even more eyewitnesses. Hunters tracking the creature by a trail of blood left behind by a fresh kill through the woods before losing it. Teenager Jim Stevenson, who claimed that the monster also attacked his car before he narrowly escaped. Local flocks of sheep were found crushed and half-eaten. That October...
So he's just wasting food.
Yeah, he's just wasting a lot of food and blood.
Dude, finish your sheep meal.
Yeah, if you're going to crush a sheep, you got to eat it.
Come on.
His mama didn't raise him right. He's not from Texas.
It's like he's just taking eggs out of the carton and smashing them.
Finish your sheep, blood.
Yeah.
That October, Fort Worth business owner Alan Plaster claimed to get a shot of the creature wading through the tall grass down on the nature reserve. The photo, taken at night with a flash bulb, depicts a large, white, furry creature walking away from camera.
Pixar didn't happen.
It remains one of the only photograph of the creature to date, and this is the photo. The original was very. This is it. This is the Lake Worth monster.
Oh, wow.
And the original photo.
Can I see it again?
Yeah,
That is very Bigfoot-like.
This is the back of the head. These are the shoulders, the back. You can sort of see the ridge of the spine here, and these are his arms. This is his arm draped down to the side. So his head, he'd be looking off in that direction.
Skeptics be damned.
The original photo was way overexposed. This is what the original photo was like. So they messed with the contrast later to get more of the detail out of it. But this is the photo that ran in the papers.
Just looks like a blob.
Yeah, it looks like
a cloud.
Like it looks like a man just covered in cotton. It's the only photographic evidence of the creature to this day. Now, the final sighting came in November of 1969 when a hunter named Charles Buchanan claimed that the creature entered his tent, lifted him up in his sleeping bag. Thinking quickly, the hunter tossed a bag of chicken at the beast, who took the offering and darted back into the depths of Greer Island.
Hold on.
He
Pause.
just had a bag of chicken.
He had a bag of chicken
In
for
his
hanging
sleeping
out.
bag with him?
I think it was raw chicken that he was cooking in his, like down by the lake.
But at that point, he's lifted up in his sleeping bag. He's like, what do I have in this sleeping bag with me? Oh, right. My bag of chicken.
No, he was being dangled by his feet, and he reached down.
Oh, okay.
I'm
okay.
calling bullshit on that guy.
Okay, well, also that story is very similar to our friend Albert Osman, who was kidnapped by Bigfoot in the 1920s.
True story.
And he was also dragged by. So I'm wondering if this hunter may have borrowed that story. Eventually, 1969 came to an end and the creature vanished or moved on, perhaps to balmier climates for the winter. Like his reptilian cousin, the lizard man of Skateboard Swamp, the Lake Worth monster remains a local mascot to this day. There's even an annual Lake Worth Monster Bash where locals gather to keep the legend alive.
They were
awesome.
excited to get their own Bigfoot,
yeah.
huh?
And as we've already learned, any excuse to party down by.
Any excuse to party.
Whether the creature was man, Sasquatch, or part goat, or even part of this world, remains a mystery to this day.
Strange.
That is the story of the Lake Worth monster.
Wow.
All right, when we come back, we're going to ask Andrea.
What the hell was that?
Hey everyone, this is Riley. I wanted to let you know we've launched our Patreon page. It's a place where listeners can help support the show and gain access to exclusive bonus content. For $5 a month, our Patreon members get special episodes like our campfire stories, movie club, and out there episodes where we explore our own little place in the cosmos. We also post behind-the-scenes conversations that happen during the breaks and all sorts of other bonuses. We put a lot of love into these episodes, and we make a lot of them. They're a deeper level of the show where we expand on ideas and concepts from our main feed. Our weekly show will of course always remain free, but for $5 a month, our Patreon members will gain full access to the inner sanctum of the BCC. We hope you'll join us there. That's patreon.com/BigfootCollectorsClub. And thanks for listening.
And we're back, and it's time for our segment, What the Hell Was That?
Yeah.
Andrea, you've just heard the story of your Lake Worth goat man.
Yeah.
It's
Wait,
yours now.
Do you know how big
Yeah.
Texas is? I can't claim everything that takes place in Texas.
I'm
okay?
just saying, it's from
I'll
your
claim-
neck of the woods.
I'll claim Beyonce.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to claim the Lake Worth monster.
Okay,
And
fair
you might
enough.
have a new possible outfit for lightning in a bottle.
Listen, that's probably a little too hot for LAD.
So what was that, you think? If you had to guess.
So
Now we're
if I
talking.
had to
yeah.
guess.
Yeah.
So we're going off the assumption that some entity did exist.
Well, yeah, we're going that
Or not. I mean, we're just going based on what the eyewitnesses said happened to them.
40 eyewitnesses saw this tire hurling. Physical trace marks left on cars. So they're, unless you discount all of it, what do you think happened?
I think that I don't know what happened first, but I definitely think the locals got caught up in the fun and hoopla of this urban legend myth that was happening around them.
Mm-hmm.
I do think there was something, though. I don't know if it was as big as people were saying, but it could have been, like, I'm trying to think of the geography.
Well, there's down. So this is at the. I forget. It's not the. I have to look up the name of the river, but basically, it's down near a river where the river forks together and then goes into Lake Worth. This is just north of Fort Worth, Texas. So it's like central-ish Texas, I guess.
No, Fort Worth is north.
Okay, cool. So northern Texas.
Yeah,
like
it's
I
like
said.
near Dallas.
Yeah, it's in the Dallas area. Okay, cool.
Strange things do happen near bodies of water.
It's true. A lot of stuff happens near creeks and rivers and lakes.
It's true. I don't want to say that they did not see what they said they saw.
Well, let me help you out with something. Maybe
Yeah,
this.
help me. I'm drowning.
Maybe don't drown in that. Don't drown in the lake. So the original witnesses said that it was also covered in scales.
Yeah.
And there's a theory that perhaps what the creature was doing in the tree was eating a large fish that it had just caught out of the lake, and that there were actual fish scales stuck to the front as it's eating raw fish, stuck to its fur. Hence the image of the scales. Hence seeing that they were literal fish scales, but they weren't part of the creature, as part of the creature's dinner. So that might help.
What's with the horns,
Where-
though?
did
They
the-
said,
did
they
the
said
lake
people
have-
it had horns
Only
on
in
it,
the
right?
only in the first eyewitness did they describe horns. The rest of the time, it was considered. It appeared to be more of a Sasquatch type character.
Well, I want to go back to the fish theory. How big could the fish possibly be in
big
that
fish.
lake? For it to be big enough to cover him in scales that people would think that he had scales.
Right. Well, I think maybe it's just on its chest, like dripping down.
I still don't think that it would have had fish big enough for
right.
there to even be
I like that you're
scales
questioning
visible
the size
enough.
of the fish,
No,
not
but
the monster.
But that's the thing. Like, I don't think it had scales.
No,
I
that
think
was-
scales are just like a random
Yeah.
miscellaneous fact that have nothing to do with the creature itself.
Okay.
Because it doesn't make any sense. He's not going to have fur and scales.
That's what I think too. That's a little weird.
So let's just get rid of the scales.
Okay.
That's my.
Okay.
I'm making an executive
No.
decision.
Yeah.
Tossing it out.
And then the horns. What was the explanation for that?
There doesn't really seem to be one. The horns sort of disappear after
Yeah.
so who knows what it could have had a maybe the brow was protruding in such a fashion that it looked like it had some sort of horns coming out of its head. It's a weird thing because he's mostly called a Lake Worth monster, but sometimes he's called the Goat Man, and like you said, that's sort of like the satyr kind of brings up a satyr image. But when you get into the eyewitnesses and the tracks, they weren't goat prints; they were like Sasquatch prints, like this.
Yeah.
So my feeling, and even in the photo that we have, if we're gonna say that's a photo of the actual creature, it looks more simian. It looks more ape-like.
Well, there are a lot of people that live off the grid.
Mm-hmm.
Because whenever I think of for that area in Texas, and the fact that he kind of disappeared, and what I've read recently about some people who disappear in the woods for 20 years and survive just fine.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it was like a mountain man kind of. Not, like, there's no mountains there, but you know what I'm saying. Like someone who's
The
just
wild
living off
man
the
theory.
grid. Yeah, like
Sure.
maybe it could have been someone like that who was just living off the grid, or I don't know. I'm terrible at this.
I
This
gotta,
is hard.
I gotta tell you. To me, this sounds very paranormal in nature. I mean, you have the accounts of some hauntings and some apparitions and some ghost activity nearby. You have that blood-curdling, pitiful, sad howl or something, and
But what about the physical evidence, the scratches on the cars?
yeah, well, this happens all the time, right? So, like, something will come into our reality, leave physical or trace evidence, and then it also seems to happen in sort of a it seems to come into existence and then either leave or go out of existence. I mean, when you get 40 people together describing the same thing, that gets into
Yeah.
that strange mass hallucination territory,
Yeah.
which is not, I'm not going to say not uncommon, but when you get that many people together, all witnessing the same thing, it just adds a lot of credence to some type of phenomena happening. And then you get somebody to take a picture of it, and you look at this thing, and it's very strange.
Okay.
I'm not sure what it is.
Me neither.
Here's something for the skeptics. In 2005, the Star Telegram, where Jim Mars had written the stories, did receive an anonymous letter with no name, no forwarding address. And this is from another local. I'm getting this off the website of NBC Dallas Fort Worth. It says the writer claimed to use tinfoil to make a homemade mask to scare a truckload of girls. And he wrote, "One weekend, myself and two friends from Northside High School decided to go out to Lake Worth and scare people on the roads, where there were always stories of monsters and creatures who would attack parkers." The Texas magazine Fort Worth outed a man later identified only as Vincent, who admitted to being involved in the infamous tire throwing incident. And he said the tire went airborne only because it hit a bump after they rolled it, but he had no interest in naming more names or publicly taking credit or blame. So even though some of these hoaxers have come forward, supposedly, it's hard to prove their claim. And like the first letter said, there were already stories.
Right.
And he
Yeah.
didn't say, he said a truckload of girls. He didn't say the original eyewitnesses.
Yeah.
And the guy who wants to claim that he stood up on the ridge, this figure was tracked and followed for minutes up the limestone bluff before appearing to people, and it doesn't account for the strange howls that they hear. So there are people out there that are claiming, oh, they had some involvement in it, but I could also see high school kids getting in on the excitement
Yeah.
and dressing up and wanting to go scare people too.
I feel like maybe there was some merit to the initial reports. Maybe that first sighting, the couple that creature fell on top of their car. And then it just spun out from there, and people just started using their imagination. And, it's like a game of telephone where you tell one person
Yeah.
and the facts get distorted. And next thing you know, he's 350 pounds and 8 feet tall. And,
How about this? I think we live in a world where there's monsters.
Whoa. Yeah. Whoa.
Why can't it just be that?
I agree.
Well,
And
it's hard to say that 40 to 50 people are lying about seeing the same thing. It's very difficult.
Yeah, and I would take what you said one step further. We live in a world where there are monsters and there are hoaxers. And I think anytime you get a genuine account of something, you get one or two hoaxers following that up
Yeah.
to cash in on the hype.
I've heard more
And it's
compelling stories than this.
Yeah, but it always throws it off. It always throws off. I can't remember how you've put it before, but
With all these really high strange cases, there's always some amount of discredited, like
there's disinformation. out there.
disinformation is the word I'm looking for, which really just kind of it muddles the water. It muddies the water in these things, and it really kind of relegates it to mythology,
Yeah.
and it's left unknown. Nobody will ever know the answers because sometimes it's like a nice soup. You throw in just the perfect amount of disinformation, and these, like you said, these news medias, they always lap it up.
Well, and news stories are always looking for a way to news channels are always looking for a way to discredit this stuff.
Yeah.
Because they don't want to look stupid.
Yeah.
It's easier to make fun of the people and the monster than it is to go, hey, maybe there's really something going on here.
Well,
Very
I believe,
strange.
I think, like, for me, it's more believable when I hear stories of monsters that live in bodies of water. Like the Loch Ness monster to me is more believable than say Bigfoot, because when just from a scientific
But isn't the
perspective,
forest just like a different kind of body of water made of wood and
no,
wood
it
and
is.
ocean?
It's true. That's a very good point. I've actually never considered that. But it's just the physical land that we have has been covered and explored much more thoroughly than the oceans have.
Oh, that's
I mean,
true.
we're still discovering crazy species in the oceans, and like giant squids and like weird, monsters that we can't even put a name to. So that to me is believable, but like a hairy gorilla man walking in Texas and no one's ever seen him before or seen him since, and there's not forest or anything like
what
that
if
he
he's
could really disappear
dropping in from
into.
another dimension, though?
Coming in to eat some half sheep
And head
bounce
back
out.
to his parallel universe.
Hell yeah, makes
But
sense to
then
me.
it's like, how did he get here and how did
Portals.
he get back? Okay,
Portals.
so he just like,
Portals.
where's his portal gun, Rick?
Maybe. All right, fair enough. It's true. We need to.
I
look
need
to Rick
at
and Morty.
least a portal gun.
Okay, all right, fair enough. Well, we'll never know.
We'll never
sadly,
know.
the truth. But there's something. This is a smaller story we've, than some of the ones we've done. But there's something very endearing about this.
It's cute
I
for
love,
sure. It's a fun
I
story.
love a local monster. I love a local town getting in on the fun and just grabbing their shotguns and their 6-packs.
I love that you said sad, pitiful, scream and then throwing a tire.
I highly encourage you guys to check out our Facebook page. We'll have the original news broadcasts of this stuff are like gems in and of themselves. And I'll tell you, the people look genuinely freaked out by this. So check that out. Andrea, it's time to go. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
Seriously.
being here. This has been a pleasure.
Guys, I had
and
a
half.
fantastic
Oh,
time. This was so much
wonderful.
fun. Thank you.
Where can people find your work? Where can people find you online? Should you want to be found?
On Instagram, I am at Andrea Bordeaux. On Twitter, I am at Andrea_Bordeaux. I also have a blog that's sort of about my life as an actor and a model. It's called The Actress Model. It's very, very outdated right now, but I am starting to work with a web designer to get it rebooted. So I'm hoping to have that back up in the next 3 to 4 weeks.
Oh, cool.
It's called theactressmodel.com. And yeah, as
So
far
by
as
the time this airs, that should be
hopefully.
Okay.
If
Oh,
it's not,
go check it out.
If it's not, guys, I'm sorry, but how it is with blogging.
Yeah,
you get there
if it's
eventually.
not-
and web designers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If it's not, throw your laptop out the window.
Exactly. That's the answer to everything. But yeah, other than that, I'm just chilling. The season finale of NCIS LA was last night. And so I am currently an unemployed actor.
Right. Welcome.
Not for long.
Welcome to the Bigfoot Collectors Club.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Riley, you got anything happening this? You're going on tour this summer, aren't you?
Yeah, Spindrift's doing some shows in July, so we'll be all over the country. So,
Where can people
Nice.
find out? Do you guys have a website they can check out?
I mean, I guess just the internet.
Actressmodel.com.
The internet.
Okay, cool. Keep an eye out for that.
Yeah, I think it's spindrift.com. That might be the Trader Joe's drink, actually. But if you Google Spindrift Band and not Spindrift Drink, you'll find it.
Boom.
Fearless Flyer.
Done.
Bryce, I believe Bobcat's show is finally airing.
Yeah, that's going to air in July 11th, I believe, is the premiere date for Misfits
Great.
and Monsters, and I'll be on the second episode of that.
Awesome.
But also check us out on our social media pages for Bigfoot Collectors Club on Instagram and on Twitter at Bigfoot_C Club. And if you're interested in what we're doing, if you like what we're up to, then you can check us out on Patreon as well. We're doing a lot of interesting things with that. Movie clubs, out there episodes, campfire stories, and you can find us on that at patreon.com/Bigfoot Collectors Club. Contribute.
And also, speaking of the show and our expanding universe, June 6th, today, as the episode airs, go to our Instagram page. We are going to have previews of our very first t-shirt designs.
Oh, yeah, that's
And
right.
we
Nice.
want you guys to
Merch.
chime in on which design you like better. So go to our Instagram page, check it out. There's 2 images, flip between the 2, and vote shield or footprint, and let us know.
Congrats,
I have
guys.
my
That's awesome.
Thanks. Yeah.
I have my pick, but I want to see what the people out there think.
Me too. Let's let
You'll
the
see.
people speak.
We have a
first.
shield design and we have a footprint design. You guys let us know which one you like, and we will make sure that we can make those available for you to purchase.
Sweet.
Sweet, guys. Thank you so much. I'm McMills on all the social media stuff. You can find me there. In the meantime, keep your eyes peeled, and peace and UFOs. We love you guys.
Yep, later.
Bye.
Bye.